Hello everyone, my name is Nasser. In this video, I will talk about tricks I learned writing a grant proposal. Remember to like, share and subscribe. So let's start off by defining what a grant is. So a grant is a specified sum of money made available to grant recipients for the purpose of carrying out a project. Now, grants are typically issued by funding bodies, such as government departments, large companies, charitable organisations, trusts and so on. A proposal is the document written and submitted to one of these funding bodies to receive these kinds of grants. So from the outset, much like a job application, you wouldn't normally put one together for some fictitious role and then search for a vacancy that matches your application form. Of course not. A similar approach is used when putting together a grant proposal. So I recommend having a list of funding bodies that you are interested in applying to. So once you have this list, you can visit their respective websites to find out what topics can be funded, how much funding is available, and when the submission deadline is. So let's talk about the call. A funding body will publish a call for proposals advertising the problem that they want to have experts solve. A call will contain information on particular topics like a description of the problem or the challenge that they want to have solved, the objectives that need to be accomplished, the amount of money available for the project, the project duration, could be 2, could be 3, could be 4 years, 5 even, and the submission deadline. You also need to consider your consortium. So a consortium is a team of experts, could be from industry, academia. They have to be highly skilled individuals with experience in the relevant area that you're looking to do your project in. Essentially, they have to be a team that can solve the problem set out by the funding body. So you need to know your budget too. There may be a ceiling as to how much you can apply for. This will affect the size of your consortium and the task that you wish to undertake. It is essential to make the most of your time. The first 2 weeks should be dedicated to assembling the consortium, and leave 2 weeks at the end to review and revise your grant proposal application. And maybe leave the bit in the middle, could be 2, could be 3 months, to do the actual writing of the grant proposal. The proposal. Before starting the monumental task of writing the proposal, see if you can get your hands on past successful grant proposals. That helped me immensely in the past, so I could get an understanding and an idea as to what is expected of a successful grant application. Study these proposals, pay particular attention to the language, the presentation of data, the work plan, and so forth. Don't despair if you can't get yourself a copy of a past grant proposal. It's still possible to win a grant without one. But I do highly recommend seeking guidance from more experienced and more senior colleagues to help you craft out your grant proposal. The way I'd approach things, and as a disclaimer, my way is certainly not the only way to prepare a successful proposal. I just want to share my ideas with you. So the way I'd begin is I'd insert the call text into a word cloud to see what keywords appear the most. Now, evaluators, those people that assess your grant proposal, will be looking closely at the call text and assessing your grant proposal against that call text. Then get to writing. Break down the proposal into sections. So let's look at each section one by one. So first is the project title. Pick a title that captures the essence of your project. It could be an acronym or a concise title that conveys to anyone the gist of what it is you're trying to do. For example, 3D printed fuel cell electrolytes for vehicle applications. Then there's the abstract, probably the most read part of your proposal and should be written last. The abstract should be succinct, maybe between 200 to 300 words long, and it should outline the contents of your grant proposal. Introduction. Present the problem that you want to solve, why it's important to solve it, and recent developments surrounding that said problem. Spell out your research aim or your research question and the objectives that you use to help you accomplish your aim. Literature review. Now you need to show your awareness of the problem's history and the findings of other researchers, both past and present, in and around the field. This is where you get to point out the gap in knowledge and where you plan to fill that gap. Here you get to critically analyse the state of the art and spell out why your approach is novel and why you're likely to succeed. Research data. So if you have any data to support the rationale behind your proposed research, then this is where you put it. Perhaps you have authored a research publication in the past that supports the impetus for your idea. This is where you need to mention it. Now's the work plan. This is a critical part of your proposal, and it is where you tell the evaluators exactly how you plan to execute your research over the span of the project. Don't be too general, give specifics. For example, if you're going to be doing experiments, what samples are you going to use? How many? Will you make them yourself or will you purchase them? What conditions will you test them under? What temperatures, what pressures, etc. In your introduction, you've already stated the research aim or the research question for the problem that you're trying to solve. You've even given your objectives. Now you have to decide what tasks need to be done in order to complete those objectives. So now you need to realistically decide how long it will take to complete those tasks. When you've identified the necessary tasks that you need to do to complete your objectives, then you can begin grouping them into work packages. Now, work packages are like sub-projects which connect together to form the overall main project. For each work package, give a description, list all the tasks involved, and mention the associated deliverables and milestones. Now, deliverables are tangible outcomes of a work package, so they could involve a report, a website, a prototype that you've developed. Milestones are like checkpoints. So for example, you could say by this particular stage in the project, you have tested so many number of prototypes or trialed them in so many different ways. Once you've decided what your work packages will be, you can then assign work package leaders to each one of them to be in charge and oversee all the tasks within that particular work package. You can also allocate individual tasks in a work package to participants in your consortium who you believe are best qualified to complete them. Now you need to make your Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a great way of displaying the project schedule graphically. In most cases, it is expected to have this kind of chart included in your proposal. You don't need a sophisticated project management software to put together a good Gantt chart. Microsoft Excel will do just fine. Risky business. So what are the main risks or threats to your project? This is what you need to really put across to your evaluators to show them that you've considered all kinds of stumbling blocks. Evaluators really want to see that you consider all possibilities and have a contingency plan in place. So you can present your risks in the form of a risk register where you give a description of each risk, the risk level, so it could be low, medium or high, and the mitigation steps, so the plan or the backup plan that you have in place for each risk that you have identified. Dissemination. So some funding bodies want your research to have impact activities built in. You just tell everyone about what it is you're doing and why it's worth caring about. So you need tasks that involve engaging with stakeholders and the general public. So dissemination activities could involve press releases, project websites, publications, conferences, outreach activities. Now it's the budget. How much money do you need to actually pull off this project? What is the full economic cost of running your proposed project? These are some of the questions you need to consider. So work with your research office or research services or finance team at your institution or organisation to cost your project up. You need to know how many man-months each work package will need. A man-month is an individual's labour time for a working month used to complete a specific task. Once you have an idea of man-months for each work package, you can find out how much your participants of your consortium charge per man-month. So this will help you to calculate costs associated with personnel. You then need to provide an estimate for other things such as consumables, equipment, travel costs. I'll leave a link to a blog below in the description titled How to Write a Grant Proposal, Tricks I Learned, where I give an example of a budget table. I highly recommend checking that out. Consortium participants. Here you need to provide the names of the organisations or institutions who will become a part of your consortium. So provide a list of names, their relevant qualifications, their experience. It's essentially a CV. Essentially, you need to provide proof to the evaluators that you have assembled a team of highly qualified experts capable of delivering the project on time and within budget. Appendices. So in your appendices, you can include supplementary material like tables, graphs, charts, legal documents, letters of support to back your proposal up. Now you need to review your grant proposal. So leave a couple of weeks to go over your grant proposal with a fine-tooth comb. The more eyes that read over it, the better. Have a trusted and qualified individual or a group of individuals to give you constructive and critical feedback. This is highly important when it comes to crafting out the strongest possible grant proposal. Have someone from your research office read over it. Now it's time to submit. You're nearly there. But never underestimate the submission process. Visit the online submission portal weeks in advance to familiarise yourself with the system. Don't leave this until minutes before your submission deadline to do this, as you can risk missing the deadline altogether. Now you have your decision. Your grant proposal is a success. Congratulations. All that hard work has paid off. Normally, you'll be notified via email of this outcome. The evaluators will be judging your proposal on various criteria, and they may even provide a score for each one. Take this opportunity to thank the funding body and be flexible. There may be changes to the deadlines or methodologies or budget that will be made by the funding body, but that's okay. You need to build a strong rapport with the funding body, as this will benefit future grant proposal applications. Now, what if you're unsuccessful? Now, this is a strong possibility. Some of the best grant proposals get rejected due to matters out of the applicant's hands. It can be disheartening, but get back on the horse. Use the evaluator feedback to build an even stronger grant proposal. Again, think of your rapport. Keep interactions cordial with the funding body, as this will also help your chances with future grant proposal applications. What do you think? Do you think I've missed something? Do you need a proofreading, editing, course designing, grant proposal writing, or consultancy service? I'd love to hear from you. Remember to like, share, and subscribe.